Hey guys, and welcome back to the Pre-Op Performance Method YouTube channel. Today we're going to be looking at why the hip 90-90 position is so beneficial for you and why you should be striving to be able to achieve this position. First off, kind of what it is and what it does. So this position is literally what it says. It's your hip and your knee both at 90-degree angles. So hip straight out, 90 degrees, almost like basically forming boxes. Same thing for this back one, just like this. A lot of people will bring it up a little bit because it's a little bit easier, so you want to make sure it's directly pointed out in that 90-90 position. Ideally, we're sitting up nice and tall, comfortable in this position, like being able to rest in this position. If this is too difficult for you, put your hands back, lean backwards, and that will kind of make it a little easier because you're decreasing that hip flexion angle. So that can be a way to kind of ease your way into it. Find a position that's comfortable. You can work in those ranges, as well as it gets easier, you can slowly build up into those ranges until you have a more comfortable position in an upright pattern. So with this position, you can do a lot of different exercises that I've covered on my Instagram and I'll further cover in my YouTube shows. But one of the reasons it's so important is because many people lack hip rotation mobility. So that would be hip like internal rotation coming this way or external rotation going that way. So in this position, you're getting both of those. The front hip is in hip external rotation, and the back hip is in hip internal rotation. And these are important because without adequate hip rotation mobility, you're not going to have optimal overall mobility. The hip rotation components of each joint really focus more on the capsule of the joint. So this isn't the muscles, this is something a little different. So after the bone, the joint is encapsulated with a capsule which has fluid in it to help your joints move properly, but over time when we don't utilize full ranges of motion, those capsules can kind of get tight because we're not using full motion and stretching them, and then also just a little bit more rigid if you're not adequately moving through those ranges. So that primarily is noted with hip rotation. So we always want to look at rotation first, because if the capsule is not ideal, then regardless if you stretch the muscles, your capsule will still be a limiting factor because it's the first section after the bone. So focus on your capsule first, so focus on rotation first, and then you can move to other motions such as like hip flexion or extension and things like that. So the same thing when you flip it though. Now the front one's always hip external rotation, the back one's always hip internal rotation. But so if you want to improve your hip motion, whether it's the squat or just have better hips, start off using hip rotation, and this is a great way to do it. If you're a beginner, like we said earlier, you can start back just like this, and you could just do some dynamic rocking back and forth to start off. So starting opening one leg and bringing the other one down. If you start getting pain in the front of the hip when you're in this position, then it's probably a little bit too advanced, so you want to lean back a little bit farther. Ideally, we get to a point where we're here, core nice and tight, rotating through the motion. And you should feel a stretch. That's perfectly fine. You just don't want to have pain. And primarily when we're rotating here and coming up, because that's going to be that closing angle joint pain, and that's not what we're looking for. So if you have that, you probably want to go see someone, maybe get that assessed and see what's causing that. But overall, try to get into these positions, see if you're able to obtain these positions, and if not, keep following along. We'll focus on some things that can work on that, but that's why the hip 90-90 position is so beneficial for you, and that's why you should be doing it. Tune in next time, guys. Don't forget to subscribe.